Welcome back, everybody. It's the Bourbon Judge. Hey, we're back at it, ready to have a little bit of fun with the Kentucky trip overview. A lot of fun over in Kentucky, but and this is actually gonna be a two-part series. But before I dive into the first part today, a couple of housekeeping things. So number one, I'm almost at 9,000 subscribers. Almost, I'm like right there. So let's just call this the drive to 10. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. So if you're watching today's episode, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hook me up. Help me to get to that 10,000 mark. Cool? All right, I appreciate it. Second, I want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons. Honestly, we've been just having a blast. You know, a lot of different contests, planning some meetups. Honestly, a lot of fun. We actually just recently kicked off a fantasy football league for all of our patrons as well. So huge shout out to my patron, actually Rob Sullivan, for coordinating that. I appreciate you, Rob. Thanks so much. Today's episode is all about the Kentucky trip. Part of it, I actually had a chance to meet up with one of my patrons who lives in Kentucky, my buddy David, aka DMC. Super cool dude, his lovely wife. Honestly, we had a blast. So we shared a couple pours. Actually, we shared a lot of pours, but we had a lot of fun. So again, if you're interested in becoming a patron, just check me out over on Patreon. Cool? All right. And speaking of Patreon, I want to give a huge shout out to our newest Supreme Court, which is like the top tier of my patrons, which is Anthony Spencer. Anthony, thank you, my man, for becoming a patron. Thanks for supporting the Bourbon Judge. Really appreciate all your love and support. As well, I should say thank you to all my patrons as well for all the love and support. You guys are honestly, you make all of this to come to fruition. So without you guys, there's none of this. So I really do appreciate each and every one of you. All right, next update. Woo! I'm extremely excited to join what I think is, this gentleman is like one of the best in the world as it relates to this WhiskeyTube business. I'm a guest on Mash and Drum. So Jason invited me on Wednesday night coming up. I'll be on his channel as a guest. So thank you, Jason. I appreciate you supporting all of us, like a smaller channel. So thank you so much, my man. I really do appreciate it. Looking forward to that. All right, so I went to Kentucky because I was going out there just honestly a little bit of fun, hanging out with Mrs. Judge. I was doing some stuff for the channel as well, kind of in the background. And one of my stores locally here in Delaware, Maryland, was like, "Judge, you're going to Kentucky. Would you mind doing a store pick for us?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" I mean, who would say no to that? So I had the opportunity to do a couple store picks for one of my stores. Again, these are not Bourbon Judge picks, but just the store picks. I just represented the store, but it was a lot of fun. Had a blast in Kentucky. Really enjoyed it. So this episode is all going to be about just some key distilleries that I visited and some really interesting things I learned. And I'm going to kind of share, let's call it a tip, if you will, for each distillery. A lot of times when you're going to Kentucky for the first time or even the second or third time, you might be wondering, what highly allocated bottles for distillery X can I get if I go there? Or what can I not get? Or do some of these distilleries even offer up samples of some of their higher end things and so forth? So I'm going to share a little tip, if you will, as I kind of go through this Kentucky experience. So again, today's episode is going to be all about different distilleries and what you can hopefully find or what you can't find. And look for a upcoming episode, part 2 of my Kentucky trip, which will dive into a little bit of bourbon hunting, some fantastic restaurants in Louisville, and also, one of my favorite things, some fantastic bars in Louisville, like must-go-to bars where you can get a sample of everything and anything that you want. Cool? All right, my friends, let's go ahead and dive into this part 1, which we're going to cover off on just a few distilleries and some things that you should be on the lookout for. Cool? All right, here we go. All right, so for the distilleries, so we started with Old Forester. I've actually only been to the gift shop on numerous occasions. Never did a tour before. So finally did the tour. As you see here in the next picture, they actually allow you to char the barrel. You push a button, and Mrs. Judge was actually the one who pressed the button. Pretty cool picture by itself. So you're wondering, what can you get there? Well, ton of great bottles on display, but unfortunately, none of those were available. Those are all for display only. I will say though, Old Forester does put out specialty bottles. However, you can't plan it. They just put out a couple bottles every few days. You just have to be at the right place at the right time. All right, so I decided to walk over to Justin's House of Bourbon, and right next door is Old Carter's headquarters. Knocked on the door, and guess who's there? None other than Sherry Carter. So had a chance to meet Sherry Carter. Did a quick little tour of her headquarters. Now I will say the headquarters is not open to the public, so she was really gracious by letting me in. Me and a few others happened to be there, and was really nice to meet her, which is really cool. Love myself some Old Carter. Coming back to the hotel, Mrs. Judge and I, oddly enough, ran into one of my subscribers. Really cool guy by the name of Dwayne. So really happy to meet Dwayne and his lovely wife. They were also staying at our hotel, which is really cool. So the next day we got up and we ended up going to Heaven Hill. Love Heaven Hill. Now I will say, Heaven Hill opens at 10 a.m. They used to put on Facebook exactly what they would put out the next day as a specialty bottles. But unfortunately, people started to go crazy. So you have no clue what you're going to get when you walk into Heaven Hill. For me, Judge, what was on display? What did they actually offer? I had no clue because it wasn't on Facebook. But I did end up with these two beautiful Elijah Craig grenades. So I was really happy to get these two. And hey, better than this than nothing else, right? Walking up to Heaven Hill, I didn't realize that their bar upstairs was finished. So here's a picture of the upstairs bar. They have every top of the line Heaven Hill product that you've ever wanted to try. The only issue is it's quite expensive. And last but not least, you'll see a quick picture of cousin Nina and I sipping some bourbon up there at the Heaven Hill bar. And Mrs. Judge, she's enjoying a nice glass of water. Hey, safety first, thanks to our DD. All right, we then moved over real quick over to Willett. I'll say when you go to Willett is actually absolutely a really beautiful distillery itself. When you walk into the gift shop, expect to not find, honestly, anything special. They're not selling any of their specialty bottles in their gift shop. However, one cool thing that I learned, I had no clue. If you go upstairs to Willett, look at all of these fantastic purple tops and other, I mean, really just highly allocated bottles to begin with, but of their own stuff, all these different purple tops. Cousin Nita, I had to pull her away. She had several different pours from several different purple tops. All right. Coming over to Bardstown Bourbon Company. So I will say Bardstown has an amazing property. We had lunch there. Their food quality, their food is just flat out ridiculously good. Absolutely fantastic. Here's a quick picture of the gift shop. And this is actually happens to be the Ferncullen bottle that they had for sale. But they also have like the Discovery, the Fusion. And they also have all of their specialty bottles for people that contract distill at Bardstown. So other companies, they sell their products in their gift shop as well. Make sure you go to Bardstown Bourbon Company. Here's a quick picture of me having the Discovery 8, which is not available around me. So I tried it at Bardstown and I ended up bringing home 2 bottles of it. And this is a picture of the Bardstown Collaborative series. This is the rum whiskey. I tried that also. Really, really good. Now we move over to Lux Row. Now I will say at Lux Row, this is where I did my 2 distillery picks for my local shop. So I did a distillery pick of Ezra Brooks as well as Rebel Yell. This quick picture, just kind of me, just kind of dive into some of these barrels, figure out which one's the best one or not. And they always take care of you at Lux Row. At the end, you sign this kind of wall for everyone who's doing barrel picks, which is really neat. They really do take care of you. But you're probably wondering, Judge, well, what can I get at the gift shop? The cool thing about their gift shop, you can get their special bottle of the 12-year, age 12 years, cask strength Lux Row top of the line, highly allocated bottles, just sitting on shelves. All right, my friends, till the next time. Peace, cheers, salute, take care. I'll see you the next time stay tuned for part 2, my favorite bars, restaurants, and liquor stores in the Louisville, Kentucky area. Take care. Cheers.